The O's are back home at the friendly confines of Camden Yards and look to expand on their perfect 5-0 start at Oriole Park. But can they keep that streak going against the Blue Jays? Find out next on Masson. It's the Orioles on Masson on a gorgeous night for baseball in downtown Baltimore. It's the Orioles and Toronto Blue Jays tonight, game one of a 3-game series. And hi, everyone. I'm Jim Hunter. The Orioles are in the middle of a challenging part of the early part of their schedule. They just came off a road trip that went through Boston and Texas. Now home for just a 3-game series against the Blue Jays, and they're right back out on the road this weekend against defending World Series champion Kansas City, and then off to Tampa Bay. So 12 of 15 games on the road, just these 3 games at home the difference. But so far, the Orioles have held their own. In fact, if you look at the numbers, they are mashing the baseball. Over the past week, .286 batting average, 4th best in the major leagues, more home runs than any team. They have scored the second most runs, tied for that. Batting average has been great. The on-base percentage has been great. However, the pitching has been a challenge. The ERA over the past 6 games, the O's have played 5.82, 27th out of the 30 teams. The starters' ERA a bit higher. Bullpen, though, has been holding its own. And Mike Bordick, when you look at this season, we know the team is going to hit, and they have. We know they're going to play good defense, and they have. Now it's up to the starting pitching in particular to come around and gain more consistency.
Yeah, it really is. You know, they played so well the opening series of the year, going 5-0 here at Camden Yards. So you build your confidence at home. They always play very well in the friendly confines here. But you know what? The road's been a nemesis for them. They've had a hard time recovering from last year. So they need to step up a little bit. Obviously, the starting pitchers' numbers are crazy. They should be a lot more consistent. This is something they've been trying to target for a number of years now. But you know what? The most important thing, I guess, is timing is everything. Mm-hmm. You know, the Blue Jays offense is cold right now. If they can get some consistent starting in this series, it might catapult them, you know, to have a consistent road trip.
Yeah, Mike, you know, you look at the starting pitching, and Buck says it every day. Momentum, it's as good as your next day starter. Well, your next day starter happens to be Mike Wright. He goes to the mound, and his season keeps getting interrupted by weather.
Yeah, it sure does, you know, and it's unfortunate, too, because he had such a strong spring training. He was building momentum, and then all of a sudden setback after setback, and you wonder, you're testing his mental stability right now. So you hope that this game kind of settles him in. He gets back on track. It's been the secondary pitches that he hasn't had a field for. If he can get those, you know, he's going to have success, I think, against this Blue Jays lineup.
So the Orioles are perfect 5-0 at home, open up this brief 3-game homestand against the Blue Jays. We're coming back to Camden Yards. Lineups and first pitch are next. Orioles Baseball on Masson is brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. And by T-Mobile. Get Major League coverage. T-Mobile has doubled its 4G LTE in the last year. Well, the Orioles and Blue Jays getting together tonight for the first time, the first of 19 meetings, and a look back to the season series last year that was won by Toronto, but only 11-8. The Orioles really battled the eventual AL East champions. And if you look at these numbers, it really was a tale of two series within the season series. When the Blue Jays won their 11 games, they mashed the baseball, 8.6 runs per game. But in the 8 losses, the Orioles held them to just under 3. Batting average dramatically different, the home runs dramatically different, and the Blue Jays pitching, when they won, they pitched really well, but the Orioles got to them for an 8.06 ERA in the 8 wins. The Orioles took over the Blue Jays last year, and tonight just the first of 19 meetings between the Orioles and Blue Jays on the season. Yards as the Orioles welcome in the Toronto Blue Jays, first of 19 against the Jays. Our BGE home game time temperature is 69 degrees. BGE Home is Baltimore's home team for heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical. Why would you call anyone else? 26% humidity, partly cloudy forecast, just perfect conditions here for baseball. Here's Toronto's starting lineup. Michael Saunders leads off, then Josh Donaldson in that number 2 spot. Big career numbers head-to-head against the Orioles. And, of course, now with the Blue Jays in the division, he sees the Orioles quite a bit over the course of the year. Bautista, Encarnacion, and Tulowitzki with Smoke at first base, then Martin, Goins, and Pilar.
And let's take a look at Mike Wright's pitch arsenal this season. The fastball 69% of the time. He holds good velocity and two-seam movement on his fastball. Command has been an issue in the past. Breaking ball 18%. Hit 2 batters with that breaking ball in his last start. Got to iron out his secondary pitches. Change up 13% of the time. Good differential, but at times he telegraphs that pitch. So got to pay attention to some of the details on the hill tonight, especially against this Blue Jays offense. Earned run average at 7.20. Can easily bring that down with a fine performance tonight. Fly ball pitcher at 60%. Like to see that turned around, though. Work that fastball down at the bottom of the zone. Get a few more ground balls. Let that defense work behind it.
And the challenge for Mike Wright is he's facing a Toronto team that is underachieving. They're batting just .230 as a team. They're much better than that. The question is, when do they break out and against whom?
Well, I'll tell you, you keep them down with executing your pitches. They will take advantage of mistakes, even if they're a down team. So follow the game plan, trust Matt Wieder's fingers behind the plate, and keep it down and keep it in this ballpark.
So for Mike Wright, just his second start of the year, and here is Michael Saunders, who has settled into that leadoff spot playing in left field. So he had .268 on the year. And there is strike one, and we are underway. And Ramon Martinez is the acting pitching coach for this series, as Dave Wallace is away from the team for a few days. So good to have Ramon, who's with the team most of the time anyway.
Yeah,
but tonight
exactly.
He is the acting pitching coach for the O's. And outside, 1-1 the count. Well, Mike Wright out of Bennettsville, South Carolina. And as Mike Bordick mentioned, he earned his way into this rotation in spring training.
Well, you know, last year he had a good start to the season in his first 2 starts, 14 1/3, after he saw a nice breaking ball right there. If he can show he can get that breaking ball over early, that's certainly going to help him work his way through this lineup. But yeah, he came into camp with something to prove, I think, and really did. Won a spot. He and both Tyler Wilson pitched very well in spring training. It's up to Michael Wright to keep it consistent.
Can't get around on the fastball, but he fouls it off to stay alive.
So he's going to have to move his pitches in and out, work on adding and subtracting, like so many of the pitchers that have success do, especially against a talented offense like the Blue Jays, a veteran lineup. You have to try to expose them and keep them off balance.
Just outside, and the count to 2-2. Well, Mike was the winner last Tuesday in Boston. That was the second game of that 3-game series, so he hasn't pitched in a week. Upstairs, ball 3.
Well, it's not a bad pitch, though. Good two-seam fastball. Of course, good velocity, 93 on that heater. And you work away to the lefty because he has that tailing action. Try to induce a chase.
And the 3-2 is a called strike 3, and he went right back to the breaking ball.
Well, you got to love that. I mean, some troubles commanding the breaking ball in his last start. Hey, it might have been because he's the rain man. He's had a couple postponements here. Just locks him up. He wasn't looking for that pitch at all. He gets the front foot down and can't pull the trigger. The spin freezes him for a big first out.
Here's Josh Donaldson, the reigning MVP in the American League, his second season with the Jays. Overall, he's off to a good start. He looks at a breaking ball for a strike. Donaldson leads the American League in RBIs with 13, and he is tied for second in base hits with 17.
How about that? Confidence in the bender early on in this ball game. And you see Donaldson, a couple of the early takes there. He's getting out on the front foot, gearing up for the heater already in his head.
And he doesn't chase, off speed again. With the count holding 1-2. Donaldson also tied with Chris Davis and Mark Trumbo for the home run lead with those 5. He is, however, just 4 for his last 15. And fights it off to stay alive. Gets around on that fastball.
Yeah, real good pitch. 95 miles an hour. Best fastball. And only 11 pitches thrown. So he's starting to loosen up a little bit, but working that slider away first 3 pitches and then trying to dot a heater on the outside corner. Nice sequence there. See if they go right back to that slider. See if you can get him fishing on the edge.
And he popped him up to shallow right. Scope out, Trumbo in. Scope is calling. And John's got it for the out. 2 men down.
Now let's take a look at the Orioles defense behind Mike Wright this evening. Rickard over in left field. Jones back in center with Trumbo. Red hot swing and Mark Trumbo in right field. Hardy and Scope, the double play combination. Machado and Davis on the corners. And Matt Wieters behind the plate. This defense has been spectacular since day 1 of this season, saving a lot of runs for the pitchers. And I'll tell you what, Chris Davis has been a monster at first base. He's already saved about 8 errors.
Jose Bautista warmly greeted by the Orioles fans. The chorus of boos around Camden Yards, and then the chorus of applause after he takes strike 1. Comes right at him, back-to-back fastballs, and he's ahead 0-2.
We like that. Okay, starts Donaldson off with a couple sliders. There are 2 straight fastballs to get ahead of Bautista.
Now, of course, there is the concern that when you haven't pitched in a week, you might be too strong. But he seems to be in control of his command here early on.
He sure does. I don't know that you can chalk much up other than the fact that he has been so consistent. He hasn't been able to get into a routine, you know. So after being on a schedule in spring training and having the success, nice hairdo there by the MVP, Donaldson.
Good look for you. Weekly hit the second. Scope will play the hop. And Mike Wright is a 3-up, 3-down, top of the first. Real strong start for Mike Wright. Toronto doesn't score, and here come the Birds. Youngster at the game, Manny Machado fan already. And I'm told he picked that out. Let's get a look at the Orioles Southwest starting lineup. Southwest, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. For the Birds, it'll be Rickard, Machado, and Jones with Chris Davis in the cleanup spot. Mark Trumbo, co-AL Player of the Week this past week. All he did was bat .320, 5 home runs, 11 RBIs. Then Wieters, Hardy, Alvarez, and Scope.
Yeah, let's take a look at Marcus Stroman's pitch arsenal this season. The fastball 61% of the time. Two-seam fastball, his fastball of choice. He can roll over a ground ball as good as anybody, up around 65% ground ball rate right now. Got a curveball and a slider. Slider pretty much go-to pitch against both righties and lefties. Very comfortable with the 1-2 punch. Fastball, slider, but also has the change and curve as well. 3 starts, 2-0. Record right now with a 4.22 earned run average, but 21 1/3 innings. So he's eating up some innings here early on. He's already pitched into the 8th in 2 of his first 3 starts. And there you see that ground ball percentage. 65% of his outs recorded on the ground.
And he'll go to work against Joey Rickard, who is facing Toronto for the first time in his rookie year. And Joey takes ball 1. He's off to a real consistent start. He's got a 3-game hitting streak going. 4 for 15 in that streak. And there's a strike on the corner.
That's going to be interesting to see how the Orioles work their game plan against Stroman. If he gets ahead, he's going to go to work with that sinker, slider.
That is cued foul down the right side.
Cutter combination. He likes to get ahead, though. And I was talking with hitting coach Scott Coolbaugh earlier today, and he was saying sometimes his best pitch is his first strike. So it might not be until 2 balls, but when he wants to throw a strike, he puts it on the plate. They have to gear up for that and elevate his pitches.
And there's a base hit to right field. He goes with the pitch as well as anyone on this team, as he showed there, as Stroman worked him away. A leadoff single for Joey Rickard.
We'll take a look at the Blue Jays defense. Another strong defense here in the American League East. Saunders, Pilar, and Batista roam the outfield. Tulowitzki hasn't made an error all season long. Goins at second base. Donaldson, all-star and MVP of the American League last year at third. Smoke playing first, and Martin behind the plate.
Here's Manny Machado. He has hit in all 11 games on the year. That batting average at .283, second best in the American League, and he also has more base hits than any other player in the league with 18. And there's a strike.
Yeah, Manny has just had a fabulous start. Longest hitting streak in major leagues with 11 games. Of course, running a streak of consecutive games played as well. Manny is driving the ball all over the field. He's mastering his handshake with Scope because he's hitting homers as well.
1-1 the count on Machado. He is 3 shy of his career high. He had a 14-game hitting streak back in 2013. And fouls it off. That pitch had a lot of movement down and in.
Yeah, a little two-seam changeup as well. So good arm speed, same type of action as his 93-mile-an-hour fastball, but pulling the trigger a little bit. So it gets Manny out in front. That's a key. Keep him off balance. Guessing pulled strike is still a strike.
Gets ahead of Machado, a ball and 2 strikes. Manny rips it to right field and hangs for Bautista, who runs it down. Rickard's got to hustle back, and he's back in safely. Rickard aggressive base running there. He thought that ball was going to head to the gap, but Bautista with a nice running play.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Manny's been stinging the ball, so it just carries a little bit more, I think, than Rickard thought. So he gets off. Look at this jump. The secondary, he's off and running, then better put on the brakes. Bautista, still a very strong arm in right field.
1 down as Bautista makes the play. And here's Adam Jones. Finally back in the lineup. He's got a modest 2-game hitting streak going, 3 for 10. And he'll take strike 1 on the inside corner.
Adam Jones kind of gnawing at the bit to get back into the lineup when he was in Boston. A couple of defensive replacements late in ball games, but went down to Texas where it was a little warmer and got loose, taking some BP. It was nice to see him get on the home run board as well.
Broken bat bouncer back to Stroman. He fires to second out there, back to first, and a double play. Nicely turned by Toronto, and that erases that leadoff single. So 3 batters faced by Stroman. The pitcher's in charge early on. We'll head to the second. No score. On the town, Mike, and all these offensive numbers a lot lower than anybody expected.
Yeah, some inconsistencies here from the get-go in the Blue Jays offense. See that batting average 11th, 4 runs per game, only 14 home runs as opposed to the Orioles, who pounded out 23. So, you know, the offense has started slow, but it's a veteran group of players. Remember, last year it was really this offense that carried them through. They scored 891 runs last year, just blowing everybody away in the American League. So very productive, and just getting off to a slow start, but you still better execute.
That ball's ripped to left field. Rickard over to try to cut it off. Joey gets there, and Encarnacion is thinking to, and then he puts on the brakes. So Rickard, nicely done, holds that to a real long single.
A nice play right there by Joey Rickard. Take a look at this pitch from Mike Wright. And Encarnacion on the pitch track, Mercedes pitch track. It's a fastball center cut. Unfortunately for Mike Wright, it did not get elevated. That is a flat bat, and he covers the baseball. Probably knuckleballing out to Rickard. Beautiful throw, though, from Joey Rickard. Nice pursuit angle to keep Encarnacion at first.
So Encarnacion ties Manny Machado. That's his 18th base hit, so most in the league. Here's Tulowitzki. And just outside. Encarnacion, by the way, extends his hitting streak to 7 straight. Tulowitzki, his first full year in Toronto. He was picked up last year at the trade deadline and was not too happy with Colorado for dealing him. He had visions of being a career Rocky.
Well, I think a lot of players would like to stay for the team that drafted them, but it's just not the way the business is working. And you know, the Blue Jays took a shot. They needed better defense, and he made an immediate impact on this Blue Jays team defensively and helped lead them to the postseason.
Sky to center field. Easy play for Adam Jones, who has to come in on the ball. And Adams there for the out, and 1 away. Well, time is running out, and your chance to earn exclusive orange carpet benefits by becoming an Orioles full or partial season plan member. Enjoy dramatic savings over the cost of single game tickets, plus Major League Baseball's most flexible exchange policy. You get access to postseason tickets and more. So don't miss out. Become a partial season plan holder. Visit Orioles.com/season or call 888-848-BIRD. Those fans happy to have their team back, even if it's just for 3 days. And here is Justin Smoke. It's got to be really nice for Matt Wieters and Justin Smoke to see them there. They were high school teammates in South Carolina, and here they are opposing each other in the big leagues.
Right.
Matt was a year older, and they both went on to become first-round picks out of college.
Pretty impressive.
Just outside. 2-0 on Smoke.
Now Smoke off to a slow start here offensively. There's a handful of Blue Jays that are swinging the bat too well. Tulowitzki down there, Martin the catcher. Smoke only hitting .083 right now. So Mike Wright and Matt Wieters have to work together, keep these guys down, because a couple of them are really keys to this Blue Jays offense. Colabello is another one that's down. He was a spark to this Blue Jays offense last season.
It's a fastball by him. 2-1. Smoke went to the University of South Carolina in his native state. Matt left the state and went to Georgia Tech. And Smoke was a first-round pick of the Rangers in 2008. Check swing, and it's inside. Appealed, didn't go.
Oh, nice try. Good pitch right there. You want to locate a slider. This is where you want it. Down and into the lefty. See Smoke, the balance way out in front, caught in between. Maybe too good of a pitch.
3-1 on Smoke. And it's inside, ball 4. So he missed with the fastball. And Toronto has something going here. 2 on and 1 out.
Well, one thing that can really hurt Mike Wright and the Orioles are just, free passes, extra opportunities. As down as this Blue Jays offense is, if you give them extra chances, any offense in Major League Baseball, they're going to take advantage of it.
Here's Russell Martin, the veteran catcher, who was born just outside of Toronto in East York in Ontario. And he was guessing fastball, didn't get it, and missed.
Boy, really nice pitch. Nice finish on the breaking ball from Mike Wright there. A lot of big league hitters, they might get fooled, but they have the ability to make adjustments like in the middle of their swing. But the finish on that breaking ball was just too good. Completely fooled Martin.
And just inside. Now his fastball has been 89 all the way to mid-90s. Is that the grip? Is he doing that to try to alter the velocity?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm not sure. You'd like to see some consistent velocities, but it might be part of his game plan. Change speeds on his heater, because he's rushed it up there, right there, 94 miles an hour. Now that might have been the 4-seam variety, but he can still hold good velocity even with the 2-seam fastball.
Big pitch here. 2-1 on Martin. Inside, ball 3. There's the changeup, and he telegraphed it.
Pretty good movement right there. 78 miles an hour, though. Yeah, he's got to be careful. Big league hitters can certainly pick up on an adjustment in delivery. And if he slows down, they're going to figure something's up and make an adjustment in their swing.
Martin's got a 3-game hitting streak going. Goes after it and fouls it off. So the count goes full. One of the reasons the Blue Jays have had trouble winning consistently, they come in 7-7, is John Gibbons' team leads the American League in strikeouts. 141, now 142. The 141 Ks coming in, the most in Blue Jays history through 14 games of a season.
Wow.
So they're averaging 10 Ks per game. And the 3-2 is outside, ball 4. He missed with a breaking ball. The bases are loaded.
Well, tough pitch right there, selection-wise as well. Granted, he has been throwing that breaking ball consistently for strikes, but a 3-2 count here with runners at first and second, pretty risky when you're getting that kind of action on your 2-seam fastball. You want to stick with the bread and butter. Trust the defense. Let them put it in play. See if they can roll one up for you. And get back in the strike zone here. Matt Wieters out to give Mike Wright a little breather, get him to focus a little bit. He looks like he's in control. Sometimes you have to watch out for that. Mike Wright really gets amped up and got to stay in check with his emotions. And in turn, he can control his delivery.
Here is Ryan Goins, a hitter you don't want to see up in this situation because he is due. He has 1 for his last 14, and he has the bases loaded with just 1 down. Ground ball towards first. Diving stop by Davis. He'll step on the bag for an out. A run does score, but he was able to keep that ball from going down the line.
Yeah, great play right there from Chris Davis. That guy's been a force on the hot corner at first base, not only picking up his teammates, but stopping runs from scoring here. Easy double down the line, but he takes it away with the diving effort and then head right up to see what the base is loaded, what to do. Now, well off the line. Look at that ground he's got to cover. Got to dive, got to get dirty with bases loaded. Chris Davis does right there, making sure of a big second out.
So the other runners move up to second and third. Here's Pilar, and there's a strike. So the difference from this inning to last inning, in the first inning, the secondary pitches, he was throwing for strikes. This inning, he's struggling with that.
Yeah, I would like to see him in attack mode more with that fastball.
And another strike. Now there's a real good off-speed pitch.
Yeah, great breaking ball there. It's nice he's shown he can throw it for strikes early in counts. I'm not yet too confident in the fact that he can throw it 3-2. Love the movement on the heater. Get busy now. It's in their heads that he's able to throw it for a strike. The fastball will play up.
Can't get Pilar to chase. Pilar has seen right 3 times, and he has 2 hits. He has always hit well against the Orioles. And the 1-2 is fouled back to the right. A little tardy on that fastball.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's probably because of the sliders. You know, 2 strikes. He's up there thinking about protecting. He wants to try to put the ball in play, so staying a little bit shorter. Well, that fastball rode up and in. He had all he could do just to keep the at-bat alive.
Lays off, and it's low. Now 2 balls and 2 strikes on Pilar. John Gibbons in his second stint as the Blue Jays manager. Strike 3 called. What a pitch. Breaking ball on the inside corner, and Wright gets out of a big jam. The Jays do get 1, but they strand 2. Mid-second, 1-0 Toronto. Karen Headley of Edgewood has won $500 for being selected, and will win $500 more for every Orioles home run hit in the game tonight. Play Home Run Rich's scratch-offs and win up to $50,000, or enter your non-winning tickets for a chance to be the contestant of the game. Visit mdlottery.com/baseball.
Isn't it nice to see
night.
Oriole fans with T-shirts on?
Yes, especially after the 3 days in Boston.
Yeah.
Marcus Stroman, after a leadoff single to Rickard, got fortunate on Machado's line drive that Bautista was able to run down. Here's Chris Davis. Trumbo will follow. And then Matt Wieters. Marcus Stroman out of Medford, New York. That's on Long Island in Suffolk County. And then he made his way down south and went to Duke University. There's a strike in the corner.
Now Stroman's going to use the full mix of his arsenal against Chris Davis.
Good take.
Likes to run his cutter in under the hands, that four-seam fastball in under the hands, and work the two-seamer away and back it up with a change.
The one thing the Jays have done for Stroman, they've had trouble, as we pointed out, scoring runs, except when he pitches. 6.75 is the run support average for Stroman. Pete Walker, his pitching coach, likes that combo. Bouncer into the shift. There's Goins. He waits on it. And we'll throw out Davis for the out. And one away. Let's get a look at our Jeep inside the numbers. Marcus Stroman. Yeah, he was good. Now he's better.
Yeah, as a starter, his career split his first 19 games. Very good numbers. 9-6 with a 3.31 earned run average. But his last 8, 7-0 with a 2.82. I mean, he has been on fire, settling in nicely. Very young pitcher, just 24 years old to start this season, but he's blossomed. A little setback last year in spring training with a knee surgery. He came back at the end of the year to make 4 starts, went 4-0.
He is facing a red-hot hitter. Down and in, 1-1. Marcus Stroman, just 24 years old, already his 3rd season. He was 11-6 as a rookie. Mike mentioned 4-0 last year. Now he's 2-0 in 3 starts this year. He fouls it off. Well, Mark Trumbo, Mike, as hot a hitter as there is in baseball.
Oh my gosh, he's co-player of the week. So Trumbo, 320 batting average, 5 homers, 11 RBI on this road trip. He had one inning where he hit 2 home runs and had 5 RBI in the 7th against the Rangers.
And Trumbo down on strike, so Stroman got ahead and gets in the chase for the out. First K for Stroman, 2 away.
Well, there are patterns, sequences they use. He ran a two-seamer in and a breaking ball. And how about the cutter on the outside edge? Just worked across the plate to Trumbo, opening up that outside corner.
Yeah, just kept moving away from his swing. Now 2 down, here's Wieters. And strike 1 to Matt. Matt's got a 3-game hitting streak working. He has hits in 6 of the 8 games, but he has only 1 multi-hit game, so that's why the average is as low as it is. He has seen Stroman for 2 at-bats, and he's 0 for 2.
Well, Matt Wieters has got to look out over, hunt that two-seam fastball on the outer edge.
Takes a strike, 1 and 2.
Like most of the Orioles hitters, they like to get their arms extended. Game plans change, though, every night. Certainly want to stick with your strength, but when you have a pitcher, that has this much success, you kind of follow what he's doing against certain hitters, and he'll give the lefty a chance on a pitch on that outer third, and Wieters can expand out there.
Trying to go the other way, and he fouls it back. Matt's still looking for his first home run. He does have 2 doubles, so he's got a couple of extra base hits of his 7 hits. Scott Coolball doing a real good job with this lineup. Wieters goes the opposite way. That's deep towards the pole. That is foul. It faded foul at the last moment. That's a real good approach there. Stroman working him away.
Yeah, it sure is. You have to do that. Back that ball up. If you get too pull happy off a pitcher like Stroman, he will expose you. Both lefties and righties. Right-handers, they start pulling. He's just going to keep throwing that two-seamer down in the bottom of the zone and in.
And on the 7th pitch of the at-bat, Weeder swings and misses. Martin will play it to first, and Stroman, back-to-back Ks, has a 3-up, 3-down inning. Well, into the 3rd at Camden Yards, 1-0 Toronto.
Found himself in a little bit of trouble. Encarnacion leading off with a single, but then Smoke walks on a borderline pitch, and how about a walk to Martin? Defense helps him out a little bit. Chris Davis, another sensational play. Then a backup slider to get Pilar with the bases loaded. It's all about minimizing the damage. He does there, holding the Blue Jays to just the 1 run. Bases loaded and 1 out. Nice job by Mike Wright.
So 1-0 Jays. The lineup turns over. Here's Michael Saunders for his 2nd at-bat. Donaldson and Bautista will follow. And strike 1.
Mike Wright featuring a couple breaking balls, the slower curve and then the harder slider, in command of both right now.
Well, the Orioles starters certainly need to turn it on, not just to keep the team in games to give them a chance to win, but to take some of the pressure off the innings the bullpen has been piling up. There's a base hit to right field. Long run over for Trumbo. Saunders is thinking 2. And he's in a sliding double leading off here in the 3rd. So a leadoff base hit for Toronto. Don't forget, every Sunday home game this season, all kids 14 and under can run the bases here at Oriole Park. So make every Sunday family day. Come on out, enjoy a great afternoon of Orioles baseball, and then watch your kids have the thrill of their life as they run the bases here at Camden Yards. The next Sunday home game is May the 1st, so mark your calendars. The White Sox are in town. Get online, Orioles.com, or call 888-848-BIRD. Here's Josh Donaldson. And he'll take a strike in the corner. Donaldson, a weak pop-up to shallow right that Scope caught his first at-bat. So the Blue Jays get a runner in scoring position leading off here in the 3rd inning. And a little bit low.
You got to move it around. I like that pitch from Mike Wright. I'd rather make a mistake down at the bottom of the zone and below the knees than elevated.
And another weak pop-up. This one's trouble, though. Trumbo, a long run, and Mark gets there and runs it down for the out. Looked like he was timing it.
Yeah, nice play there by Trumbo. Had a long run. Now, this Orioles defense in the outfield, they like to pinch the gaps a little bit, especially with a right-handed hitter up. Trumbo will slide over in the right center field gap. So, long run there. Good job keeping the head up. It's tough when you're going that far, especially big man. The eyes bouncing around. Nice to see him come down with that play.
Here's Bautista, who bounced out his first at bat to Scope. And upstairs with a fastball. The Toronto damage has been done through their first 14 games by the 2, 3, and 4 hitters in their lineup, which usually is Donaldson, Bautista, and then Encarnacion. 2-tap with a breaking ball, 2-0. The 2, 3, 4 hitters have combined to bat .303 with 10 home runs. The rest of the lineup, number 1 or 5 through 9, is batting combined .192. So if you can somehow minimize 2, 3, 4, you got a good shot to win.
Yeah, definitely, until those other pieces start picking up the slack.
And there's a base hit to right field for Bautista. Saunders got a late start. He's going to be held as Trumbo fires all the way to home plate. So a good hold there by Luis Rivera. And first and third with one down. Well, here are the home versus road numbers on the year. Of course, the 5-game homestand to begin the year, and then the rain-shortened 6-game road trip.
Yeah, what a way to start the year, though. I don't care who you're playing. A lot of emotions to start a season, and to go 5-0 at home was a huge momentum lift for this team, especially kind of a rough spring training. See, on the road, 3-3, batting average down a little bit, but the earned run average up. Certainly the key is the earned run average. Starters pitched very well here at home. On the offenses they faced, the Twins and Tampa, scuffling offenses, still have to execute, and they did. Think about when they went on the road now. Boston is kind of picked to be number 1 in the American League East by a lot of prognosticators, and of course the Rangers won the American League West. So nice challenge, come away 500. But you can see the differences and the improvements that the team has to make.
Doesn't chase the changeup. 1-1 the count. Well, as we mentioned in the open, this is a very challenging stretch because you go to Boston for 3. It was very cold. Orioles able to get 2 out of 3 there. Then the Texas, after the game Saturday night got away, they dropped 2 out of 3. But now you come home for just 4 days, 3 games against the defending division champions. Then you go to Kansas City, they're defending world champions.
Yeah.
And then you go back in the division against Tampa Bay, and they're very tough at the Trop.
Yeah.
So it's a challenging part of the schedule.
Well, it's never easy, and it all depends on the timing. I think the Orioles pretty lucky to have the Blue Jays down offensively. We talked about, they still have to execute. This series could be a huge momentum shifter for this team. I mean, it could push the Blue Jays down, have them press a little bit. You want to be able to put your foot on teams in your division right on their neck, especially early on. And this could be, something that kind of sets the stage for the rest of the year, possibly this series.
Fouls off a 2-1 pitch. Here's our Maryland Live Casino inside the numbers. Slugging percentage at Camden Yards, and there's Edwin. How about that? .603.
Yeah, pretty impressive numbers. He has done some damage against the Orioles in his career. He's hit 26 home runs since 2010. So, he is a dangerous hitter, and he loves hitting at this park.
Popped him up. Wieters throws the mask. Appears to have a play, and he's got it for the out. Oh, what a big out for Mike Wright. So 2 down in the inning.
Yeah, pressure's on the pitcher, and he executed some pitches to get Encarnacion to pop out. Runners at first and third. Big time play. Wieters finding that wall, and then the Willie Mays catch. He cradles it in using the protector and the glove to come down with that second out.
He gets a dangerous hitter, Edwin Encarnacion. Here's Tulowitzki, who flied out to Jones his first at bat. He is just 4 for 30 in his last 9 games, including tonight. I recall when Mike Hargrove was here as manager for 4 years, and you learn about all the tendencies of the skippers, and one of the things he hated was when anyone went up to him and said, "Hey, so-and-so struggled." "Oh, no, don't tell me that."
Right.
Because everyone is convinced that the baseball superstitions that they're going to break out against you. And you see so many of these Blue Jays hitters coming in cold. That's what made me think of that. This would not be a Mike Hargrove game that he would prefer.
Well, the last thing you want to do is go into a hitter's meeting or a pitcher's meeting, say he's struggling, so you don't have to compete as hard. You know, if you let up on guys that are struggling, they're going to get hot on you. So you have to have the ultimate focus against 1 through 9. Because every one of these hitters in this lineup is a proven hitter. They've all had success. Tulowitzki, my gosh, he's got Hall of Fame numbers.
And in this game tonight, you have a young pitcher on the mound who's in his 14th big league game, just his 11th start. So the veteran catcher's calling the game. You will not see, if at all, Mike Wright shake off Matt Wieters.
Yeah, no way. Matt Wieters calling a great game right now, working Mike Wright to his best, getting the most out of him. He's commanding that breaking ball, which is huge. Just missing on the fastball there. You got to help a sinker ball pitcher with the bottom of the strike zone.
First and third, 2 down. Line to left field. Rickard on the run. Will he get there? Makes a diving try, and it gets by him. 1 run is in. Heading to third and being sent is Bautista. And that is a 2-run double for Tulowitzki, and it's 3-0 Toronto. Great effort for Rickard, but he just missed it.
Yeah, he got a bead on this ball. He may have taken a false step back. Take a look at Tulowitzki. This two-seamer's boring in on it. He didn't cover it. The great effort by Joey Rickard, but when he initially broke for that ball, made a little S route, and it might have cost him that 6 inches right there.
So the 2-run double as the ball got by him, and it's 3-0 Toronto.
I'm going to take a look at Joey Rickard in left field, kind of back, and then recreates an angle, kind of coming back in. So a little misread, tried to compensate, came up just a little short.
Ramon Martinez, the acting pitching coach, with Dave Wallace away for a few days, out for a visit. Now, if Pedro's the analyst on MLB Network tonight, will he critique his brother's trips to the mound?
Oh, I'm sure he will. He's always having fun, isn't he?
So 2 runs in. That's a big 2-out base hit, and here's Smoke. And down and in, 1-0. Mike Wright dominated at AAA last year, and he's trying to translate that consistency at this level, which he's not yet been able to do.
Well, I will say this. One thing you're not seeing, the Blue Jays panicking. Now, if this is an offense that's down, typically you expect guys to try to hit their way out. They're taking some borderline pitches here off Mike Wright. I mean, he's not missing by much, and you'd think that first inning when he's showing he could throw everything for strikes, they might start expanding a little bit, but they haven't.
Fouled off as he couldn't get around on the fastball. So 2-1 the count.
Let me take a look at the big man's delivery here. About 6'6", so he is driving with a lot of force. A little recoil on the end. It comes out of his hand clean. A good fastball. It's touched 95 today.
Long inning for Mike Wright. That's a base hit to right field. Trumbo in on it quickly. They're going to send the runner. Here comes the throw towards the plate. Wieters the tag, and he is out by plenty. What a throw by Trumbo on a hard hit ball. Gamble by Rivera, who had the lead, and Trumbo guns him down at the plate. But the Jays do get 2 in strand 1. The final out at the plate, mid-third, 3-0 Jays. Orioles baseball on Masson is brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. And by PNC Bank, for the achiever in you. Well, what kind of a hat do you want? You want the orange version? You want the orange and black? You want the white and black, the all white, the alternate? Cartoon bird is on all of them.
They all look good, right? Reminds me of that book, Caps for Sale. Remember that kid's book?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I still have little kids, so it's still around my house.
Yeah, I haven't seen that book in a while. No kids left at the house. They're all gone. Here's J.J. Hardy to lead off. Alvarez and Scope. Stroman has faced the minimum 6 through 2 innings. Top of the third ended on the first outfield assist of the year by the Orioles as Trumbo gunned down Tulowitzki at the plate. And quickly 0-2.
And you wonder about that call that last inning, but the way the bottom of this Blue Jays lineup has been hitting, you get an opportunity to push a run across, you take your chance.
That was a good take. That was a close pitch. Stroman has averaged on the year 5.1 Ks per 9, which is 2 fewer than his career numbers. With the batting average against him an anemic 190. Left-handers came in 178. They were 8 for 45. Right-handers 7 for 34. Ground ball to short for Tulowitzki and 1 away. Well, let's get a look at our Jeep inside the numbers and the potent offense of the Birds.
Oh, they have been rolling. The batting averages first, runs per game up over 5 at 5.5. Home runs 23 already. First. On base percentage, probably the most impressive stat, 354. Now, granted, there's a lot of high batting averages, but Davis is walking, Machado's taking his walks, Rickard, Trumbo, Alvarez. I mean, pretty impressive. See that total, they're 8th in the American League, and that's what's led to that 5.5 runs per game.
Here's Pedro Alvarez. He had one of those rounds in BP today where he was playing Pepper with the Eddie Murray seat in the bleachers in right center field.
Well, that's good. Yeah, he can hit. I mean, he's got great power. It's fun watching him in spring training. You see new players and how they go about their routines. And one of his routines would be to set a ball out in front of home plate on that outer third. And when he would finish his swing, his head would finish where that ball was. So it forced him to keep the head down and look out over, drive the ball the other way.
There's a bouncer into the shift. That's Tulowitzki. And the shortstop gets his man. So 2 quick outs here in the Oriole third. Well, caption this. Check out @MasonOrioles on Instagram and provide your best caption for this photo. 3 commentators will, or commenters will win an autographed Orioles prize pack and the Green Turtle gift card. So watch every O's game with us. The Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill, hang local. Hey, I'm in that picture.
Anyway, what's your comment on that?
Well, I'm not allowed to. It's a contest. I tried to get commentators involved. I was told no, it's commenters. 0-1 on Scope. And that one's a little tight, 1-1. Marcus Stroman, 17-6 in his career. When he came up, he wore number 54, and he switched to number 6 to honor his grandmother. Very unusual to see a starting pitcher with a single-digit number. There's a fastball right there for a strike, so 2-2. And Jonathan fights off the breaking ball. 17 wins in his career, Mike, and 12 have come against AL East opponents. And that's what you're looking for if you're a GM in this division.
Oh, absolutely. You have got to be fearless if you want to have success in the American League East. It is a daunting task sometimes to go through these lineups. You better have more than one weapon. Stroman, good change up there, has a good 2-seamer that he can count on for a ground ball, but slider and cutter and curve, so a lot of options for Stroman.
Strike three called. Jonathan thought it was outside, and he's rung up by Tom Hallion. So one time through the lineup, 9 batters faced. The O's go 3 up, 3 down in the third. The fourth inning of Orioles baseball is brought to you by the RAV4 Hybrid. All-wheel drive and unexpected performance. Visit buyatoyota.com. The lovely flowers outside Oriole Park. Mike Wright trailing 3-0. A single run in the second when the Jays then stranded 2, and a big 2-out, 2-run double for Troy Tulowitzki to make it a 3-0 game. Tom Hallion holding up play as some of the security guards are getting off the field. Russell Martin walked his first at bat. Those 2 walks really hurt Mike Wright in that rally. Good off speed pitch. He swings through it.
A nice change right there from Mike Wright. He seems to be a little more consistent with his delivery. Release point. It might have been the cold weather up there in Boston, and in fact he hadn't pitched so long that he was inconsistent. Right now throwing the ball, it's like we saw in spring training.
So no balls and 2 strikes. There's Ramon, pitching coach tonight. And foul back. Russell Martin has had an interesting life. I mentioned he was born in East York in Ontario. Then when he was 8 years old, his family moved to Paris for 3 years. And then came back to Canada, and they moved to Montreal, where he graduated high school. A little bit low, 1-2. So he is back home, a native Canadian playing for Toronto. And he got him. That may have been a cutter, Mike. It had some movement, but 92, 1 away.
Yeah, it did. Threw it well. Matt Wieters setting on the inside corner, and it just explodes up and in. Saw the Mercedes pitch track there. Works a good 6 inches up and in on Martin. He cannot get the bat head to the ball. Nice pitch there with 2 strikes.
Strikeout number 3 for Mike. Ryan Goins now. Outside corner called strike. Goins drove in a run with that ground out in the second inning on a nice diving stop by Chris Davis. Looked like it had plenty of the plate. Called the ball.
Real good pitch. Real good changeup. Bottom of the zone. Hit towards short. Hardy has a bad hop bounce past him.
So Goins is on with one down. That ball was hit hard. J.J. usually gloved those, but it looked like it skipped right past him.
Yeah, I think when the lefty gets inside the baseball and hits it to the left side of the infield, it's going to have a little spin. And take a look here, the inside pitch. So Goins pulled the hands in tight, so there's spin on the baseball. As soon as it hits the dirt, it's a Super Ball hop up and over the glove of Hardy, and he gets himself in a good position there to field the ball. Just a bad hop. Single.
Yep, that is a single. So Goins is on. He's 1 out of 2. And here's the number 9 batter, Kevin Pillar.
And take a look at this play again from Hardy as the ball's spinning and it kicks up. JJ, typically his glove is in the ideal spot. But it jumped up and over there, over the glove, didn't even get leather on it.
A runner first, one down. Wright has had one 3-up, 3-down inning. That was in the top of the first. Kevin Pillar, a 32nd round draft pick of Toronto back in 2011, and now the everyday center fielder at the age of 27.
Kind of forced his way to become that everyday center fielder. There have been a few young players they've tried in the outfield, but he took over, I think, because he makes a highlight film every night.
Double play ball. Hardy, Scope, and Davis. 6-4-3 ends the inning. That erases the base hit. Mid-fourth, Birds coming to bat, down by 3. For the O's, they come to bat in the fourth, down by 3. Let's get a look at our PNC inside the numbers. Most players on a team with at least 5 extra base hits, and nobody has more than the O's.
Yeah, Orioles leading the way with 7 players. Of course, coming into this season, they're touted as possibly a historic offense, and the boppers they have in the lineup. So not only are they capable of hitting home runs, but picking up the extra base hits as well. Hardy with the 4 doubles and a couple homers. Machado 4 doubles and 4 homers. Reimhold and his limited at bats with 3 doubles and 2 homers, and the list goes on and on. It is a potent lineup.
Joey, the only base runner for the O's, a leadoff single in the first, extends his hitting streak to 4 in a row. So he has base hits now in 11 of the first 12 games. What a pickup. 42 pitches for Stroman. When you think about what Joey Rickard went through, Mike, in spring training, and I know you as an undrafted player, you had to prove yourself every step of the way as he had to do, but especially because he was attached to the Rule 5 pick. If he didn't make the team, the Orioles had to offer him back. They could not send him to the minor leagues. So wanting to stick in the big leagues, and he rose to the pressure.
Right, and you get kind of mixed messages as well. If a team puts you up for the Rule 5 draft, that's kind of telling you, well, geez, they don't want me in the organization. They think They're going to put me out there. So, yeah, mixed emotions.
Bouncer to Goins, one away in the Oriole fourth. Fans, on Sunday, May the 8th, your family has a special opportunity to take the field at Oriole Park and create some Birdland memories. Tickets are on sale now for the special pregame Mother's Day session of Catch prior to the Orioles taking on Oakland at 1:35. Visit Orioles.com/catch for information on packages that include game tickets and on-field access to play catch here at Oriole Park. Now, a portion of the proceeds will benefit the Orioles Charitable Foundation. Orioles.com/catch for more info. Bring mom out to the ballpark. Well, that family did tonight. Manny fouls it back. Stroman is on his game.
Good pass right there from Manny Machado. If Stroman gets ahead, a lot of weapons to work with. Manny missing quite possibly his only opportunity there.
Machado deep left center field. Back that ball goes, and that ball is gone. And the Orioles are on the board here in the fourth. Darren O'Day, another souvenir for the bullpen. Yep, that's two. And for Manny, that's number 5.
Manny Machado showing the incredible power once again, and even on a quality pitch, you can't get it by Machado. Great swing on the low sinker.
And another $500 for our Maryland Lottery contestant of the game, Karen Headley of Edgewood. So Manny now with a 12-game hitting streak, just 2 shy of his career high, and Darren O'Day has another souvenir for his collection. Adam Jones with a foul ball, 0-1.
Take a look at Manny's home run. Two-seam fastball down and in. Machado clearing the hips. Great anticipation from Machado. Hitter getting to the good fastball, covering it. 5th home run. This guy is dangerous right now.
And a base hit up the middle for Adam Jones. Oh, back-to-back balls just blistered by the Orioles. So that'll get the tying run to the plate. Here's a look at our Mile One Automotive upcoming schedule. Mile One Automotive offering you 20 convenient locations throughout the Baltimore area. Visit us in-store or online at mile1.com. Well, the series, 2 more games tomorrow and Thursday, both at 7 o'clock, and then the Orioles pack it up and go right back out on the road. Manny Machado with his 5th home run. He now has 6 RBIs, and here's Davis swinging a high fly ball to right. Bautista's there, and he has a play, and he makes the catch. Chris didn't get it elevated, so he's retired, 2 men down.
Orioles starting to make some adjustments, squaring up the baseball. Great at bat from Machado. Adam Jones squaring up a slider right back through the box. Davis just missing on the cutter. He worked that cutter just enough in on the label. It might have ended up on Utah Street.
Mark Trumbo struck out his first at bat on a real good cutter that slid away from his swing. And this time he laid off.
Yeah.
That was the pitch that got him.
Real nice take right there. A lot of times power hitters tend to get in trouble when they cheat to go deep. That front side leaks open a little bit and leaves them exposed to that slider.
So the Machado home run, the Orioles lead the American League. It was their 24th. And the O's now just 1 back of Colorado for the Major League lead. See, when you hit a home run, you can tell everybody how you did it.
Yeah.
And a chopper slowly hit to third. That's going to stay foul. Let's get a look at our Jim Coons American League leaderboard, brought to you by Coons.com. Over 2 million vehicles sold and counting.
Another reason why this Orioles offense has been so potent here in the early going of 2016. Their team average with 2 outs this season. Orioles leading the way with 325. They've scored the most runs in the American League with 2 outs as well. 24 2-out runs. They're hitting .306 with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. So they know how to come through in the clutch.
And it's outside, 2-2.
I think so many of these offensive numbers, you can credit Scott Coolbaugh. He's done a nice job really preparing these guys for each game. And they're having a game plan. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but I'll tell you what, they're ready. They're ready to hit. They know what the pitcher's got.
A little bit low, ball 3. What a good take there. Now Trumbo is a slugger, obviously. John Gibbons anxiously looking on. But he is a real student of hitting.
Oh, yes, he is.
Watches a lot of videos, studies the reports, tries to keep his swing as consistent as possible. Jones runs, and it's fouled back.
Yeah, he really studies the mechanics of a swing, how to maximize power and impact the baseball at the point of contact. And the carry he gets when he makes contact has been impressive. In spring training, he was opening up eyes, and now it's starting to carry over into the season. This last road trip, he was putting on a show. It was a laser show.
3-2 is spoiled down the right side. That was a defensive. Let me just foul this thing off and see another pitch. That was a real good pitch.
Now, those are the ones that pitchers, they shake their head. What am I going to do here? I throw one of my best sliders down and away, and he still has enough to battle and keep the at-bat alive. So when pitchers try to make the perfect pitch, a lot of times that's when they make the mistake. They try a little too hard and leave a backed up slider. Hitters like Trumbo take advantage.
So another 3-2 pitch with Jones on the move. And it's outside, ball 4. See, and that's the approach. And here comes Pete Walker. You mentioned Scott Coolbaugh. And we've mentioned this a few times early on in the year, but in spring training, he was preaching be selective. Not that he didn't want them to be aggressive, because this is a power-laden team. You got to be aggressive. But swing at your pitch. Don't chase the pitcher's pitch. That was a perfect example there. Trumbo fouled off a few pitcher's pitches, and then on the 8th pitch of the at-bat, he walks.
Yeah, absolutely. Quality at-bat right there for Mark Trumbo. And I think what happens is when you get an offense that starts believing in themselves, you trust the guy behind you. You don't take it into your own hands to try to win a ball game or hit that 3-run home run. You take what's given to you. We've seen it a number of times this year with Davis, who just says, okay, you don't want to pitch to me, try Trumbo behind me, and Trumbo makes him pay.
Strike call to Matt Wieters, borderline pitch. They continue working Wieters away. And you know that's the game plan here, because Pilar is well over towards left center field. You see the center fielder shading that way. Foul back the other way. So no balls and 2 strikes on Wieters.
And Stroman got away with one there. He made a couple mistakes in this inning. Orioles hitters really making him work. He hangs the slider, and Wieters just missing on the big cut.
Well, the Orioles in these situations, they're first tonight with a runner in scoring position. They lead the American League, .321 in these situations. And that's how you score 60 runs in your first 11 games. Too tight. Good take. So it has been a 21 pitch inning for Stroman. The other thing being selective does, it elevates the opposing pitcher's pitch count. And Matt fights it off to stay alive. This Blue Jays bullpen has struggled on the year. You want to get to them as quickly as you can. In particular, the guys that Pete Walker would rather not get to.
Yeah, right. Yeah, this Blue Jays rotation, and I've been able to eat up some innings. Pitched very well. Trying to keep that bullpen strong, but the bullpen's faltered a little bit.
Hold sharply foul behind Wayne Kirby. Real good at bat for Matt Wieters. Trying to extend a hitting streak to 4 in a row. He was 3 for 14 on the trip, but had a base hit in each of the final 3 games. He's got Jones and Trumbo on, and Trumbo getting a good lead with Smoke playing behind him.
Jones getting his running in, a couple 3-2 counts. Then he was on the run, had to go back to first, and now here.
Another good take.
2 strikes. Adam Jones trying to get a good jump, extending his secondary lead. Get a nice look out at second base on the hitter, the strike zone. You can really anticipate with the 2 strikes, 2 out count.
Wieters towards the hole. Goins chasing it down. He gets up. He throws and safe. There's the call at first. So if this stands, the bases will be loaded. What an effort by Goins just to get to that ball. And for the moment, he has saved a run.
Now, Ryan Goins has played at Gold Glove caliber second base since he stepped onto the field here. Versatile player. Second base seems to be his home right now. And a fine play ranging deep into right field.
And the Blue Jays are going to challenge, so they'll look this one over. Tony Randazzo, the umpire at first, made the call.
Take a look at the stretch here from Smoke and Wieters' foot.
You could see this going either way. It was hard to see if the heel of Wieters' foot was down as the ball was about to be squeezed by Smoke.
So those real close reviews tend to go.
Now again, there has to be evidence that the umpire missed the call. So if they don't have evidence, if it's that close, they will not reverse it.
And for Goins to hop back up on his feet.
See, and if they got there at the same time, that means they didn't get him.
Right.
I'll tell you what, Wieters, who does not run all that well, he busted it down that line.
Well, hits are gold. You're going to go a little harder if you could smell a hit out in front of you. And Wieters has the play right in front of him, so he turned it on.
And you know, Mike, what made that play for Wieters is he ran through the base. If he lunges there to try to get to the base, it would slow him down by that much and likely would have been called out.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of players do that. They try to take that big long lunge to the base. It's not very safe either. Matt Wieters doing it the right way, running right through the bag.
They are showing the close play on the scoreboard in center field, and the fans are convinced that Wieters is safe. Of course, they're biased, the Orioles fans. This is taking quite a while.
And that's not me getting a good look. Right angle. I'm trying to find the one that gives them the best look. But like you said, if it's not enough to overturn, they won't.
Well, Tom Hallian, the crew chief, and Tony Randazzo, who made the call, they're on the headsets to New York City. There's Ryan Goins. He's talking to the second base umpire, Dan Bellino. It amazes me how long this takes. Either he's out or safe. I mean,
I agree.
It was a bang play. Is there evidence to overturn it? If not, he's safe. Let's move on.
Yeah, it's this kind of disruption in a game. Now, you know they want to get the calls right, but you lose the tempo, you lose the rhythm of a game.
Stroman, it's going to bother.
Stroman or even Mike Wright. It extends this inning. He's sitting in there a little bit longer, and even the defenders standing out there.
Fans are not getting on the umpires because this is taking so long. And again, the fans are convinced he's safe. Major League Baseball does not tell the teams, the umpires who are assigned to the replay booth in New York City. And they finally have a verdict. And he's safe. So the manager's challenge is denied. And the Orioles rally continues. That's a base hit for Matt.
Well, a great at bat. And works out for Wieters. Keep this inning going and keep the pressure on Stroman.
Here's Hardy, who hit the ball hard his first at bat, but right at Tulowitzki. Jones, Trumbo, and Wieters third to first. The tying runs in scoring position. And ball one inside. Now for Stroman, you always look in these situations. He has one wild pitch on the year with the runner at third. Base hit can get this game even. Foul back.
Nice pass there by J.J. Hardy. Looking for his pitch, borderline pitch on the first one. But he isn't looking on that inside corner. He's looking for something out over.
One and one on Hardy. Outside, ball 2. Second time through this lineup, the Oriole hitters, you mentioned it, Mike, some kind of an adjustment because they are not chasing those borderline pitches. Popped them up. Goins is calling. Bautista says, okay, you can have it. And he squeezes it for the out. Orioles do get a run, but they strand 3 and miss a chance to get even. Manny Machado with his 5th home run. It's a 3-1 Toronto advantage. Manny Machado with his 5th home run of the year to get the Orioles on the board. Birds would strand 3, but they forced Stroman to throw 29 pitches that inning. Mike right back to work here. Saunders, and the pitch is high, 1-0. Donaldson and Bautista will follow.
A pretty important inning here for Mike Wright. Looking for a shutdown inning as the Orioles offense starts to get the hang of Stroman. Nice to have a quick inning. This offense still hot.
Falls behind Saunders, 2-0. There's a strike. Wieters seems to be not forcing but encouraging Wright to throw these off-speed pitches to try to keep Toronto off balance. Fastball is low.
Well, there are some lineups you just have to. You're not going to be able to make it by with throwing secondary pitches for balls, not having the ability to throw them early in counts.
That is grounded foul, so the count goes full. Well, because of yesterday's day off, the Orioles tonight have an 8-man bullpen. Vance Worley, who is not scheduled to pitch in this series, is in the bullpen tonight. So they do have an extra arm. There's Vance. And the 3-2 is lifted to left. Joey Rickard. And he's got it for the out. And one away. Let's get a look at our PNC minor league report. PNC for the achiever in you. And what a start for the local product, Alex Murphy.
Alex Murphy graduated from Calvert Hall High School back in 2013, the Orioles 6th-round pick, and in 12 games this season with Delmarva, he is flat out raking. .362 batting average, no home run, but 6 doubles, 10 RBI, and that 400 OBP. Nice start for Murphy.
He came into the organization that year. They drafted 3 catchers: Chance Cisco, Jonah Heim, and Alex. And Cisco is the youngest, and he's at Double-A Bowie already. (3-0) on Donaldson.
Well, the Orioles knew that it was going to be a challenge a few years ago with catching depth. So yeah, they were aggressive in the draft, and a couple very promising young catchers. Murphy, let's talk about him possibly moving to first a little bit, so becoming a utility type player.
Well, Chance Cisco, he's only 21 years old, and he'll play the entire season at age 21, and he's in Double-A. The boos for Bautista. Popped up foul back this way.
Bautista not a fan favorite here in Baltimore. And many run-ins with the Orioles, especially Darren O'Day. And Darren go back a few years.
Off the end of the bat to right. Trumbo waits on it in a few steps. The dangerous hitters retired and 2 away.
Good pitches, hard in, really set up that fastball down and away. Bautista very dangerous coverage of the plate, but you work them in hard, opens up that outside corner a little bit. Take advantage there.
Hold deep down the left side, hooking back foul.
Encarnacion, a pretty interesting spring training. Didn't get one at bat in a major league game. He's had a couple injuries that kind of set him back a little bit, but how about starting your major league season without a big league AB in the spring training atmosphere? I think John Gibbons thinking, veteran hitter, got enough at bats, he'll be fine to start the season, but that could be a reason why this offense is kind of off to the slow start. Many players don't get as many ABs in spring training.
The Orioles played in Dunedin the first week. I believe it was their 4th game. And Encarnacion had yet to get into a game yet. And the Blue Jays waited for the minor league games to start. And then he spent all his time with the minor leaguers.
Yeah. Maybe it was a secret. He didn't want to tip anything,
Well, most managers protect their veterans, keep them away from the bus rides, but they at least play the home games. Well, the first.
Well, and it's really up to the veteran to kind of determine that. And if a manager puts that kind of trust on you, puts the onus of you being able to prepare yourself for a major league season, it's up to you to get those at bats. And I don't know that a lot of guys really understand, even veteran guys.
Right field for Trumbo. Comes towards the line. And the inning ends. So 1-out walk. And one left. 3-1 in favor of Toronto. Well, the Orioles family lost a member today, Milt Pappas, who was with the O's 1957 and 1965. He passed away today at the age of 79. He won 110 games as an Oriole. Orioles baseball on Masson is brought to you by your Baltimore BMW centers. Visit BaltimoreBMW.com today for exceptional offers. And by Ocean City, Maryland. Let us show you a good time in Ocean City, Maryland. Book now at OCOcean.com. Pedro Alvarez leads off. Scope and Rickard will follow. Breaking ball stays outside, 1-0. Stroman threw 29 pitches in that fourth inning. Orioles sent 7 men up but stranded 3. Ball 2.
Yeah, big inning here. Mike Wright shutting them down that last inning. Gets the offense back on the field quickly for the Orioles and take advantage of that big inning from Stroman.
There's a tapper out to the mound. And an easy play for Stroman. So 1 down here in the Oriole 5th. For every Orioles walk, Care First Blue Cross Blue Shield will contribute $50 to support the Be More for Healthy Babies. The Orioles so far 37 walks, a total of $1,850. Care First Blue Cross Blue Shield encourages each of us to take that first step towards a healthier and a more active lifestyle. Tyler Wilson now getting loose. 89 pitches through 5 innings for Mike Wright. Hard hit ball. Oh, Donaldson spares it. And across to first to get Scope. That ball was blistered. And nicely done by Donaldson to save a base hit.
Jonathan Scope's been squaring up the ball here recently. Take a look at this one hopper. You got to get down and get this one. Donaldson does. And then the fancy footwork as the ball takes him around. There's a 360. There you go. You got to get low. So he gets down as low as he can. That ball is scorched as well. Look at the athleticism and flexibility there. A couple great third basemen playing in this ball game.
Rickard takes a fastball for a strike. Joey singled in the first inning. Popped up wide of first. Smoke is over, runs out of room. The O's went 3-3 on the trip, but they lost 3 of the final 4 games. With their record at 8-3. And the win here, they'll have to come back. Right center field, that chases Bautista. He'll get there. And he has it for the out. So a real good bounce back inning for Stroman. 3 up, 3 down. Through 5, Toronto has a 3-1 lead. All of Major League Baseball in honoring Jackie Robinson by having each player and coach wear Jackie's number 42. And now you can join in on the honor and bid on these game-worn jerseys at Orioles.com/auction. Each jersey has been authenticated and autographed by the player who wore it. Proceeds will benefit both the Orioles Charitable Foundation and the Jackie Robinson Foundation. Now the bidding will close Friday at 10 p.m. So place your bid now, Orioles.com/auction. Mike Wright stays on. Wilson behind him in the bullpen. Off-speed pitches outside. Misses to Tulowitzki. 90th pitch of the night.
I like the way he's worked, though, through this Blue Jays lineup. Nice to see him have command of all of his pitches. There's a change-up there. I know in his last start we had talked about possibly telegraphing that pitch, kind of slowing the body down, but it looks like sped his arm up here in this game. They're not getting good looks at that change at all.
Popped up weakly wide of first. Wieters hustling over, runs out of room. Nice hustle there by Matt Wieters. Well, this team, they have so many eyes on the pitchers. You got Dave Wallace, of course. You got Dom Chidi. You got Ramon. Let's see if Matt got caught in the webbing there. Yeah, the cleats got caught as he got up. Ramon Martinez, of course, has been around. And he goes to the minor leagues occasionally, but for the most part, he's with the big team. So if any of the trio sees anything, when they go do their side sessions in between the starts, they work on that. And maybe that's what they saw with Mike. And show him, look, you're telegraphing those changeups. Ground ball towards Hardy. Oh, nice bounce at the end. Hits Tulowitzki and one away. Now, you and I were talking about it because the broadcast booth at Fenway Park where he pitched is so high, you could see him doing it. You could see him slowing down his arm. So the theory is if you and I can see it from up there, the hitters can see it.
Oh, for sure. And, you know, I think the beauty, though, of this team is, you know, it almost has three separate teams. The bullpen's their own kind of entity out there with Darren O'Day being the leader. And, of course, this defense with Hardy and Jones and Machado. But the starting rotation, they rely on each other. Now, you mentioned Dave Wallace, obviously, and Ramon and Dom Chidi and Buck Showalter as well. But the veteran arms, there you see Gallardo. Tillman's been through a lot in his career already. They help each other out. When a guy goes to throw their bullpen, everybody goes and watches.
Yeah.
You know, so a lot of eyes on each other. They want nothing but the best for each other. You know, so if they see a flaw mechanically, they'll tell them right when they come in the dugout, or they'll talk about it after the game.
Smoke has been on base twice. And he takes a fastball too high. And the other thing, and I guess this is the same probably for most teams, but the four starters not working tonight, they're usually together in the dugout.
Yes.
So they're observing. And we're told that Chris Tillman is the one who is very outspoken if he sees something that he can point out to a teammate. There's Chris with Giovanni.
Well, I like the group of veterans in this rotation, especially Gallardo, Worley. You know, those guys.
Strike three called. Smoke didn't think so.
Oh, nice pitch and a nice sequence to Smoke as well. Good job mixing up his pitches. This dotting a heater on the outside corner. Look at the two-seam run. Wieters been locking them up all day. Good pitch.
Presented nicely. Brian Mattis, by the way, making another rehab assignment tonight. He's at Frederick. He has 4 strikeouts because the first batter he struck out, he threw a wild pitch and the batter reached. So pretty good inning. And he's supposed to be extended tonight.
Well, that's good. Good news.
Kevin Gausman will pitch tomorrow for AAA Norfolk. They're on the road at Charlotte, which is the White Sox AAA team. 101 pitches. Right a batter away from getting through 6 innings.
Well, we really made him work in the second and third, but nice to see him settle back in and kind of roll through the last 3 innings.
Breaking ball for a strike. If Wright can get this out, it would be a third consecutive start of at least 6 innings by an Orioles starter. Off the glove with the fastball. Friday night in Texas, Worley went 6, and then Gallardo Saturday night went 6. Tillman went 5 1/3 in the first game in Texas. 3-2 on Martin. And bounce towards Machado. Oh, he charges in to play the short hop perfectly and easily gets Russell Martin. So a 3-up, 3-down inning, second for Mike Wright. We head to the bottom of the 6th. Birds come to bat, down by 2.
The Geico highlights 3-game set against the Blue Jays. How about this play? 1 out, bases loaded. Davis takes one away from Goins. 1 run scores, but Wright minimizes the damage. Here, runners at first and third. Blue Jays threatening again. Wieters a nice play. How about Trumbo? And a strong throw to get Tulowitzki at the plate. The Orioles catch a little fire with a Machado solo home run in the 4th inning. Get on the board. Machado's 5th home run of the year. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com for a free rate quote.
Manny will lead off. He homered his last at bat to extend his season opening hitting streak to 12 consecutive games. Home run number 5.
So Stroman not really fazed by that 4th inning where the Orioles really made him work. 77 pitches. He answers with a 1-2-3 inning. Finds himself working into the 6th.
First ball swinging, broken bat. There's Goins. And he's got it 1 away. So you look at our Jeep inside the numbers. Yeah, most home runs in the major leagues.
Yeah, this season, Rockies leading the way. Of course, Trevor Story, big story for the Rockies. But the Orioles, 24 home runs. Davis, 5 home runs. Machado picking up his 5th. Of course, Trumbo, 5, having a monster road trip. That's the most in franchise history through the first 11 games. The Orioles could use a couple more long balls in this game.
Here's Adam Jones. He'll take low. It was right on that, actually too far out in front.
You know, there are a lot of times we talk about pitchers and the ability to create that downhill angle. Guys like Mike Wright, Chris Tillman, you know, 6'5", 6'6", they're so tall. When they get up on top, they drive the ball down the hill, down the mound. Well, Stroman, not a big guy at all. He's only listed at like 5'8", so he's got to do some different things to fool hitters. If he throws a straight fastball, it's going to be flat.
Tulowitzki gloves. And he'll get Jones. And 2 men out in the Orioles 6th. Well, there is still time for you to take advantage of the best value in family entertainment by signing up your family for the Junior Orioles Dugout Club. All kids 14 and under can enjoy a new lineup of excitement. Membership options include your choice of 6 2-game packages filled with exclusive benefits like game tickets. You get a club hat, sunglasses, a messenger bag, and more. And as always, friends and family can purchase additional tickets to Dugout Club games for as little as $6, and lower level seating options are available. So visit Orioles.com/Dugout Club or call 888-848-BIRD. (2-0) on Davis. So Mike Wright kept it within reach here for the O's. There's a youngster, looked like had on a Dugout Club hat. Oh, a good changeup.
Yeah, it was. So kind of enticing him out there. Falls behind 2-0, and the courage to throw the 2-0 change. Quality pitch.
Chris is 0 for 2 on the night. He had 6 hits on the road trip, and 3 of those hits were home runs. Left center field. That chases Saunders back. On the warning track, he's got a play, and he has it for the out. Didn't sound like he got it all. So back-to-back 3-up, 3-down innings through 6. 3-1 Toronto.
Mike Wright out of the ball game, but he had it working tonight. First hitter of the ball game. Saunders going down on the breaking ball. Pilar back up slider, but the exploding fastball against Martin. He was dotting up the 2-seamer there. Justin Smoke going down. Mike Wright, good command of all of his pitches. 6 strong innings, scattering the 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks with the 4 punch-outs, 105 pitches, but it was impressive to see him command the breaking ball, both breaking balls and the change. He's going to give way to Tyler Wilson. Take a look at his pitch arsenal this year. The fastball 67% of the time. Great command of that pitch. He can manipulate it as well, sink it, cut it. Has a slider and change to go along with it. 2 outings this year. He's pitched 6 innings, both outings 3-inning stints, and he has been very successful. Nothing on the board for an earned run average. Opponents hitting just 182 overall. Great feel for what he needs to do on the mound. And Tyler Wilson in to keep this game close.
Well, Joey Rickard moves to center field. Adam Jones is out of the game, and there is Nolan Reimold in left. And Wilson against Goins, and here's Adam in his last at bat. He batted in the bottom of the 6th, and on that swing, of course, he had the rib cage issue, which kept him out. There's a bouncer towards Scope, and Goins has retired and 1 away. So it could be he tweaked it a little bit.
Yeah, you hate to see that. I mean, and Jones just getting back in the lineup. This is his 3rd game. consistently back in the lineup, and then you hope it's nothing serious, maybe just precautionary.
Here's Kevin Pillar, who is 0 for 2, including a double play ground out. You have to be very impressed with Tyler Wilson, who has assumed a position in this bullpen. And as Buck said before the game, of course he's happy. He's in the major leagues. But he was a starting pitcher his entire minor league career. So he's having to learn at this level not only how to come in the middle of the game, but how to stay sharp and not wear yourself out in case you're needed the next day.
Yeah, and it's a tricky situation, obviously, for Tyler. Here in the early going, he's been used as the long man, pitching 3 innings in each stint. I think Tyler has so much value. You know, he could be one of the key long men in this bullpen, but you know he's could have success as a starter as well. I think the door is always open for those opportunities. Buck Showalter loves him as a competitor.
Well, he got into the game on opening day after Tillman couldn't return following the long rain delay. He then had 8 days off before his next outing, which was last Wednesday in Boston. And he's had 5 days off leading into tonight. Left center field, Rickard on the run. Joey's going to get there. And Wilson retires the first 2 in the 7th inning. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Orioles. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Orioles. Good to see the youngsters at the game. A 3-1 game. Toronto with 1 in the 2nd and 2 more in the 3rd. The O's got theirs on a solo Machado home run. That came in the bottom of the 4th. Michael Saunders takes outside. Saunders came up through the Seattle system. He was drafted in the 11th round by Seattle in 2004. He is also a Canadian. He's from Victoria in British Columbia, and over the glove of Machado for a base hit. Reimold with a long run, but Saunders is going to be happy with a 2-out single. And Saunders was traded over to Toronto in December of 2014, so for the 2015 season. There's a pretty good swing there. And he was traded for Jay Happ. So Jay Happ went to Seattle, then he went to Pittsburgh, and now he's back with Toronto as a free agent.
Right.
So they were traded for each other, now they're teammates again.
Yeah, and Jay Happ has been throwing the baseball very well, like most of their starters.
So here's Donaldson, a runner on and 2 down. Wilson misses down and in. Tyler has gone 6 2/3 scoreless on the year. He's allowed 5 hits, and he has struck out 3. So he has done an outstanding job. See, and the other reason why he's valuable is, let's say the O's don't come back in this game. Well, he can pitch 3 innings, and everybody else is rested for tomorrow.
Absolutely. You know, Buck obviously well aware of that and not wanting to put any of those arms in the bullpen in harm's way, especially the back end of that bullpen. So Tyler Wilson working as the bridge right now. And, you know, I think Tyler Wilson, TJ McFarland, Worley, if he continues to stay out in the bullpen, Dylan Bundy, the bridge men in the middle relief, I think is going to play such an important role. Now, we talk about the Orioles starters. Yeah, everybody would love to have a rotation that gets deep every outing, you know, eats up a lot of innings, have 5 guys go over 200 innings. It just doesn't happen nowadays. You have to have length, and you have to have quality length in order to get to the back end of the bullpen. Tyler Wilson could be like MVP, TJ McFarland, those type of guys. And I think the bullpens that get tested in the American League, it's going to be the bridge guys, because most back ends are very strong right now. It's the middle relief that can come into question for a lot of ball clubs.
3-1 on Donaldson. And there's a ball 4 inside. So after 2 down, a single, now a walk. And that gets the dangerous Bautista up. Bautista has seen Wilson just once. He is 0 for 1 against him. Bautista's in the final year of his contract. He's 35 years old. And the reports over the offseason in the spring training is that he's looking for at least a 5-year deal.
Whoa.
He wants to play till he's 40. There's a strike breaking ball in there.
Well, there's a handful of veteran players out there right now that have continued to take care of themselves and are, you know, continue to be productive in their mid-30s. Buck Showalter was talking about Adrian Beltre with the Rangers. You know, Bautista's one of those players as well. There was a setback last year with his arm. But as far as his batting eye and his bat speed, it's all there. I mean, he's going to continue to be productive.
12 years ago, he was an Oriole. He was taken by the Orioles in the Rule 5 draft from the Pirates, got into 16 games. And that season alone in 2004, he was on the Orioles, Tampa Bay, Kansas City, the New York Mets, and then the Mets traded him back to Pittsburgh, where the Orioles took him in the Rule 5 draft.
And look at him now.
He didn't go. Word from the clubhouse says Adam left the game with a stomach virus. So that, I feel bad for him, but that could be good news.
Yeah.
If he didn't re-aggravate the injury.
Now you see Tyler Wilson, Matt Wieters being very careful to Josh Donaldson and now Bautista. You don't want to serve up a cookie. Almost had him biting there on the nice breaking ball. Working the edges. Pretty soon there's not going to be any place for anyone to go.
Line drive to the gap in left center field, and that's down for a base hit. One run is coming to the plate as Saunders is sent. Donaldson will be held at third as the throw comes back into Davis. So all this after 2 outs and nobody on. A single, a walk, and a double, and it's 4-1 Toronto.
Well, good hitters can stay on top of the high fastball. And Bautista does here. Tough pitch up and in. He gets the bat head to it. Machado from the Orioles, one of the best high ball fastball hitters we'll see in the game. Bautista taking advantage there, picking up another RBI.
So his 11th RBI. He's got a multi a game, 2 for 4. And the way Stroman is pitching, if you're Wilson, you got to keep it right here. Inside, 1-0. Encarnacion, 1 out of 3. He singled and scored the Blue Jays' first run back in the second. And here's Ramon Martinez out for another visit.
A good visit right here. You know, you just get done facing Donaldson and then Bautista, and then you got Encarnacion. We talked about his numbers. Game can speed up in a hurry with this lineup, especially the heart of this lineup. So nice break here. Ramon and Wieters out there to give him a little breather. We'll regroup the troops and get the focus back.
Yeah, Ramon's a veteran there. He beat the clock. Donaldson at third, Bautista at second, and 2 down with a run in. Overthrows the fastball upstairs.
Well, you don't want to see the bases loaded, but with the open base, I wouldn't take my chances with Encarnacion. Keep working the edges. And here's a big reason why. Most home runs versus any opponent since 2012. Davis versus Toronto, 28 home runs. But there's Bautista on the list, 21 against the O's. We talked about the damage he's done here at Camden Yards as well. So you got to be careful. Pick your poison in this lineup.
Lays that one in there, and Encarnacion taken all the way. Dylan Bundy now will begin to get loose. 23 pitch inning for Wilson after easily getting the first 2 batters. And turns and looks Bautista back. No fielder, broke towards the bag. This ball's trouble down the line. Trumbo was the opposite way, and that is foul. Oh, there's a break for the O's. Trumbo was towards the gap, but Encarnacion hit it right down the line.
Yeah, that one would have been big time trouble here. To look how close to being a fair ball it was. A changeup, a 3-1 count, and I think Encarnacion was just kind of taking the whole way and saw the changeup and decided to take a pass at it. Almost snuck one in down the line.
So it was 3-0, and now 3-2 on Encarnacion. Swing and a miss. He got him. So Wilson gets him. Comes back from 3-0 down without any further damage. Jays do get a run. 7th inning stretch at Camden Yards. 4-1 Toronto. Seventh, Toronto leads it 4-1, and welcome into the booth, Jim Hunter with Mike Bordick. And Stroman's retired 7 in a row. You know he's a tough customer. The Orioles had him on the ropes in the 4th, but he got the big outs.
Yeah, I did. You know, Stroman's a quality pitcher. Front line won the spot as the opening day starter, and this is even after he was injured, you know, for most of the season. So, yeah, he's a front line pitcher. The Orioles have been scraping and clawing. He hasn't made many mistakes. Sometimes he only gives you that one opportunity, and the Orioles are only able to get that solo shot from Machado and try to get guys on base and get to that bullpen. Now's the time to do it. Can't wait much longer.
And Mike Wright did a real good job as he limited 3 runs in his 6 innings of work, exactly what the Orioles needed.
Yeah, Mike Wright looked outstanding, much better than we saw him in his first start. Command of his secondary pitches, was able to move his fastball around. Quality start from Mike Wright.
So Stroman now at 87 pitches as Trumbo swings through it. The last Oriole to reach was Wieters. That base hit that was challenged. Goins in the shift, diving stop, and he nearly threw him out. Deep short, Tulowitzki, the off-balance throw across, and safe as Smoke can't hold on to it. So the Orioles get the leadoff man on. Well, Tulowitzki grew up idolizing Derek Jeter. This was Jeter-esque in that attempt.
Sure was. He has made some sensational plays in his career. This could be a break, though, for the Orioles. Smoke Goes down to pick it. He gets his body in a good position, but the glove scooping through there actually sweeps it out. If you keep it still and go through the baseball, might have a better chance. Nice play by Tulowitzki. No help on the end. Orioles could be mounting a rally.
And Matt Wieters will take a strike. Matt 1 out of 2 with that infield base hit. So he's now hitting 4 straight. Good eye there. That was close.
Yeah, real good pitch. Recognizing the two-seamer.
Gavin Floyd now getting loose. Mount St. Joe's local product. Deep right field. Back it goes towards the flag court and gone for Wieters. And it's a 1-run game. His first of the year, and it's a 2-run shot. And another $500 for the Maryland Lottery contestant of the game, Karen Headley of Edgewood.
And John Gibbons out to have a talk with home plate umpire Tom Hallian about where that ball hit. Matt Wieters, no one had got up there over the scoreboard. Gibbons wanted to make sure. Let's take a look here.
Oh yeah, the fan dropped it. Now Gibbons is out of challenges, so what he's doing here, he requested, Mr. Crew Chief, would you kindly look that one over? So this will be a crew chief review, because the Blue Jays are out of challenges because they've already challenged and lost. But that is clearly a home run.
Yeah, pretty obvious. Fan misses it, goes off the pole, bounces back in, and it's these type of situations, you know, slows a game down. And the umpires don't have to. I mean, if they had a good look, they can turn that down.
So this is a crew chief review. And obvious a home run, and they quickly came to that conclusion. Tony Randazzo, the first base umpire, he called it right away, and he had a real good view.
Yeah, sure did. Let's take a look at Matt Wieters' home run swing. Martin wants the pitch down and away. How about center cut? And Matt Wieters gets on it. That full extension 2-run shot with the Orioles a little closer.
It is the first time in the career of Marcus Stroman that he has allowed a multi-home run game. 1-on-1 on Hardy.
Well, it's not easy to go through a lineup, you know, 3 times. Hitters start to make their adjustments.
This ball hit to right, playable for Bautista. And he's got it for the out, 1 away. For the Orioles, Mike, it's their 7th multi-home run game of the year.
Yeah, and continue to put runs up in the 7th inning on. This team never out of a ball game.
Well, and you were right about Mark Trumbo getting that infield hit. Something good did happen. He was on base, so instead of a solo shot, the Orioles now back within a run. Strike 1 to Pedro Alvarez. Pretty amazing. This is the 28th career start for Stroman, and the first time he's ever allowed more than 1 home run in a game. 1-1.
Well, this offense will make you work, and sometimes you do things a little bit differently. And Stroman may be getting away from his strength.
Popped him up shallow left. Easy play from Michael Saunders. And he's got it for the 2nd out.
The highest win percentage since 2014. Wade Davis, of course, Sensational Kershaw, Arrieta, and there's Marcus Stroman. That's .739 win percentage, minimum of 20 decisions. So young man knows how to win, and he's really kind of burst onto the scene with Toronto. He shot through the minor leagues, only one full year, and that was in Double-A, like in 2013. And then the beginning of 2014, he was actually called up to help reinforce the bullpen. They said, heck, try him out in the rotation.
Deep left field. Will it stay fair down the line? That is foul. Blistering liner down the line.
There just isn't a let up. Boy.
Broken back ground ball to Donaldson. And he gets scope and the inning ends, but the O's are right back in it. Infield hit by Trumbo, and Matt Wieters, his first home run of the year. He hit it to the flag court, and it's a 4-3 game as we head to the 8th. We invite you to join us tomorrow. Moro's action. Ubaldo Jimenez will be on the mound against R.A. Dickey. Game 2 of the 3-game series. Our coverage on MASN begins at 6:30 with those extra presented by Southwest. And then game coverage at 7 o'clock. We've got all the access you need right here on MASN.
Now look at tomorrow's starters. R.A. Dickey, the knuckleballer. Slow start, some inconsistencies, but you never know with a knuckleballer. Ubaldo off to a solid start. The 14 punch-outs, a .375 earned run average.
Ball 1 to Troy Tulowitzki. Justin Smoke and Russell Martin will follow. Wilson allowed a run in the 7th. And he came back to get Edwin Encarnacion on a strikeout after falling behind 3-0. Toronto leaving 2 men in scoring position. Tulowitzki drove in 2 runs with a double in the 3rd inning past a diving try of Joey Rickard in left field. Good fastball.
Letting it fly upstairs.
Brett Cecil now getting loose. A 1-run game heading to the 8th. Now back 2-2.
Didn't want that fastball up at the top of the zone, but Wilson, he can work. He has a great feel really for all of his pitches. A couple nice changeups. That Encarnacion strikeout to end the 7th inning. Back-to-back changeups. Beautiful pitches. And Tulowitzki, you get him chasing the high fastball because of his execution on the earlier change.
Hardy gets a nice hop. Tulowitzki is retired and 1 away here in the Tampa Bay 8th inning. Well, you can follow Orioles baseball live with the MLB.com @BAT app. You can stay up to the moment at any moment with Game Day, live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone or tablet. So the Blue Jays get the ground out. The reason I mentioned Tampa Bay, they are at Boston tonight. That game is scoreless in the 8th. Smiley has pitched 7 shutout innings for Tampa Bay. Joe Kelly must have been hurt because he started, pitched just 2/3 of an inning. And the bullpen has come on and they have held Tampa Bay off the board. So it's scoreless with the Rays batting in the top of the 8th.
That Rays offense is kind of quiet here in the early going of the season. They added a couple pieces thinking they could bolster their offense, but they haven't come through. Tough time putting runs across the plate.
2-1 on Smoke. Joe Kelly left that game with a shoulder injury after just 2 outs. Upstairs, ball 3. Orioles bullpen is quiet. And there's a 1-out walk. So Tyler, after not walking a batter in either of his first 2 appearances, has walked 2 here. Michael Givens now up. He just did get up. Got to keep this a 1-run game. Orioles have the top of the lineup due up in the bottom of the 8th. Breaking ball for a strike. Good pitch.
And there you go. A lot of times when a pitcher starts missing with his fastball, it's because he's not releasing it out in front. So nice call by Matt Wieters. You're forced to release the breaking ball out in front if you want to throw it for a first pitch strike. He does there. That'll get him back in the zone with his heater.
Russell Martin has walked. He has struck out and he has grounded out. Down and away off speed. Not quite as sharp as he has been in his first 2 appearances.
No, and I think all pitchers kind of go through that. Sometimes you don't have that crispness, but you got to find a way. And that's what kind of separates Tyler Wilson from a lot of pitchers. He's got a lot of heart, and he competes with what he has.
That was a pretty good pitch.
But he has been working a little bit harder than we have seen in his first 2 appearances.
There's a strike. Russell Martin trying to extend the hitting streak to 4 in a row. Now 33 years old. It's with his 4th major league organization. Check swing and he fouled it off.
Good try. You see a swing like that, you know there's late finish on the breaking ball. He's about ready to pull the trigger and sees the spin. What a great late finish on the breaking ball. It's in a check.
7th pitch of this at bat. Line drive caught by Manny. No play back to first. Timed it perfectly and 2 men down.
Well, not as easy as it looks. The soft liner can sometimes be deceiving for a corner man because they don't see how well a hitter squares it up. And Manny, you see him set the feet, get up off the ground. Perfect timing there. And then he comes down thinking about throwing across the diamond. fan kind of imitating Manny Machado, snatching it out of the air.
Just like that. Ryan Goins, the Toronto second baseman. Upstairs. Snaps the ball back from Wieters.
Yeah, he's not happy where he's locating the pitches. That changeup up at the top of the zone. His fastballs have been up as well.
Bounce towards the hole. Hardy has a long throw and the tag on the backhand, and he got him. Chris Davis excelling at first base early this season. John Gibbons is coming out, but they don't have a challenge.
Look at the play here from Davis. The high throw from Hardy.
He's out anyway.
Yeah, great play. What athleticism by Chris Davis. He's already saved a couple runs in this ball game.
The Orioles should just leave the field, even though the crew chief Tom Hallion told them not to. They don't have a challenge. They can't challenge it. So it's an out to end the inning. A walk and one left. We'll into the bottom of the eighth. The O's down by a run.
Not before he worked 7 strong innings. Orioles able to touch him for a couple home runs. 2-run shot from Wieters and a solo shot of the earned runs on the board. 101 pitches thrown. Stroman didn't disappoint. Got deep into the game. Now it's time for the Jiffy Lube pitching change. Brought to you by Jiffy Lube, who'd like to pitch you a change. Regular oil changes are proven to keep your car on the road longer. Drive in today. Well, the Blue Jays call on Brett Cecil. Take a look at his pitch arsenal this season. The fastball 44% of the time. Low 90s with the heater. You can 4-seam it, 2-seam it. Breaking ball is the big curve. Bread and butter pitch. And a few bumps in the road, though, here to start the season. 2 losses with a 4.76 earned run average. Components hitting 273, but the lefties way up to 333.
Strike one to Joey Rickard. Machado and Reimold. Reimold is in Adam Jones' spot. Adam left with a stomach virus. And he was going to bunt and takes it inside. And that is a part of the game that you look for Joey Rickard to add, because he has speed. And if you have that kind of speed, you owe it to yourself to utilize the bunt. Breaking ball for a strike. He looked it into the glove, but it hit the corner.
And Brett Cecil, right from Dunkirk, Maryland, went to the University of Maryland. 29 years old. He's had himself an exceptional career up in Toronto.
Rickard to center field. Pilar is back on it, has a play. And he runs it down for the out, 1 away. Here's what Manny did in the 4th inning to get the Orioles on the board.
His 5th home run of the season, and he got on a down and in fastball. Darren O'Day out in the bullpen to make the play, but Machado has been on fire since day 1 of the season. He's extended his hitting streak to 12 games and 19 hits.
Strike 1. Manny is just 1 for 8 against Cecil. Now Machado with that home run in the 4th inning, we've been keeping track of this. It's his 73rd career home run. Boog Powell, with 88 home runs before turning 24, had the most ever prior to his 24th birthday. Eddie Murray had 79. And Zach Britton's going to get up in case the O's get the lead here. Cal had 74, and Manny now has 73. Good take, 3-1. Trumbo with Mark Quinn. Manny will turn 24 on July the 6th. Strike on the corner. Manny thought he had ball 4.
Great confidence in that breaking ball. I've seen many pitchers flipping that up there. 3-1. A beautiful pitch. He can spin it.
Fouls it off to stay alive. That might have been a ball, but after that prior call, you got to protect.
Absolutely. Way too close to take.
Manny about to see the 7th pitch in this at bat. Trying to get on for Reimold. Line drive to right field. That's how you get on. That's a base hit heading to the corner. And Machado's going to hustle around and try for 2. Bautista plays it back in. And the tying run is in scoring position with 1 down. Machado with his 5th multi-hit game.
A pretty impressive piece of hitting there from Manny Machado. He does such a nice job of keeping his bat head above his hands. That's why he's such a good high ball hitter. Holds the posture. He recognizes the curveball, and there's a pause, but no collapse on the backside. Keeps the bat head high, and he just chops down on it. That ball smoked down the right field line.
So the tying run is at 2nd with 1 down. And here is Nolan Reimold. Down and in, 1-0. Reimold has a 2-game hitting streak going. He has 4 for his last 7. He also has owned Brett Cecil, a .357 career mark against this left-hander. O's trying to get even here, get the lead in the 8th. Marcus Stroman, 7 strong innings, the pitcher of record on the plus side. 2-0. It's pretty amazing when you consider that Reimold gets infrequent playing time, how good his batting eye is.
It really is. It's amazing. It's always been that way. He has a gift. On base percentage, could have a high, or has a high on base percentage in his career, but you know, he had a slow start to spring training, and then it wasn't until that final week of camp that he started catching fire, and he hasn't let up. He's locked into his swing, and he's making an impact here in limited number of at-bats. Already a couple home runs, 3 doubles.
Let's see if he green lights on 3-0. Doesn't matter, it's upstairs, ball 4. So 2 runs are on, and you talk about a patient at bat. Watch this at bat.
Well, you got to have some knowledge up there with Manny at second base and an open base. Nasty curveball, cuts one inside. And Reimhold showing the patience here. Borderline pitch up and away, but doesn't offer. Nice patience. Orioles with runners at first and second now, just the one out.
So here's Chris Davis trying at a minimum to get Machado in to tie this game. Popped him up on the first pitch. Russell Martin battling, and he gets back on it and has it for the out. Oh, that is a huge out for Brett Cecil, getting Davis on the first pitch.
Well, it really was. Cecil's had some problems with lefties here in the early going, and Davis rakes lefties.
So Chris 0 for 4. Cecil will leave as John Gibbons comes out. And we're going to get a pitching change here at Camden Yards. It's going to be Roberto Osuna coming on. 2 on, 2 out. O's down by a run in the 8th.
Roberto Osuna. Take a look at his pitch arsenal. The fastball 68% of the time. It's a good heater. Mid to high 90s with the fastball. Breaking ball, slider, and then it has the changeup. 4 for 4 in his save opportunities in 6 games. 3.0 earned run average. 8 punchouts, no walks. This guy is all over the dish. Very aggressive attacks. Orioles hitters better be ready because Osuna's coming.
Well, the fans having fun in between the pitching change, doing the YMCA dance.
A variety of Orioles gear there. Everybody had something different on. I like that.
Trumbo against the 21-year-old Osuna. They have never faced each other. Swing and a miss. Gets a fastball by him.
Osuna just 21 years old. Last year became the youngest pitcher in Blue Jays history when he made his debut. This guy has quite a demeanor at such a young age.
High fly ball to right center. Pilar is taking charge. Wynn got it, but Pilar stays with it, and that's the inning. So the Orioles' threat comes up short. A double, a walk, and 2 men left. We head to the ninth. It's a 4-3 game. Orioles baseball on Masson is brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Lovely night at Camden Yards and a real good game. Mike Wright kept the O's in it. Tyler Wilson 2 innings of relief, and now Michael Givens comes on for the ninth.
And take a look at his pitch arsenal this season. The fastball 62% of the time. It's from the sidearm slot now, and he's getting up there in the mid-90s, low to mid-90s, 4.76 earned run average in his 5 2/3 innings of work. But strikeout pitcher, 13 Ks, just 2 walks on the season. Opponent's hitting .360, helped out by that .750 batting average by lefties.
Pilar will lead off against Michael. First ball swinging, pops it up. Scope calls. Trumbo's charging in, but John says, I have it. And he does. 1 pitch and 1 down. Well, we invite you to visit MassonSports.com/CareFirst to vote for tonight's Care First Live Fearless Player of the Game. Live Fearless with a name trusted for over 75 years. Care First Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Well, Manny's got a home run. He'll get some votes. Wieters will get some votes. He's got a 2-run home run.
Yeah, Manny's got that 12-game hitting streak.
Michael Saunders has had a good night. 2 hits, and each time he's been on, he has scored. All the way back to the backstop there. Saunders has never faced Givens. Outside for ball 2. Givens last worked on Saturday night. He allowed an unearned run on 2 hits. 3-0. He pitched in that 6-run 7th inning. It was a 4-pitch walk, trying to protect the 1-run lead.
Yeah, sometimes you saw the numbers there against lefties, so the confidence not at its peak right now for Givens, so being real careful against the left-handed hitter there.
Pinch runner for Michael Saunders. It's Ezekiel Carrera. So a little more speed on there. Josh Donaldson now. I'm going to throw chasing Carrera back. Carrera does not have a stolen base yet on the year. Toronto, though, is 5 out of 6 in their attempts. High fly ball to shallow left. Nolan Reimold waiting. It's a rainmaker. And he's got it for the out, 2 men down.
Yeah, mile high. Some of these pop-ups, big league hitters, strong guys. And you got to get underneath that. Nolan kind of getting a solid base underneath him, just in case it gets up there and turns into about the size of an aspirin tablet.
So in this inning, you've had 2 players swing at the first pitch and pop it up, and a 4-pitch walk.
Right? Doesn't make sense, does it?
Here's Jose Bautista. He's had a 2-hit game. And there's a strike called. He drove in a run with a double in the 7th. And Singleton scored in the 2-run 3rd inning. Just inside. Givens has seen Bautista once. And Bautista's 0 for 1 against Michael. He is so close to the plate that pitches that just missed the corner nearly hit him. See, he jumped out of the way there. That wasn't too far off the plate.
No, it wasn't. I think one of the changes Bautista made, as you see how close he is, and back foot right up tight to the line, all over the dish. A lot of times hitters aren't familiar with their strike zone if they're off the plate. So you get up a little closer And then well, if the ball hits me, it's typically going to be a ball. So Batista's up there. Basically, the whole plate's like the inner third to him.
Runner goes, pitch is taken, throw to second, bounces, and it gets past Scope and into center field. Carrera is going to go to third as Rickard comes in to pick it up. So that'd be a stolen base and an E2 on Wieters, Matt's second error of the year.
The Orioles infielders have been so good at containing this baseball, keeping it in the infield, but this one leaks up the line a little bit, and Jonathan, nice attempt to try to step in front. The ball scoots up, and he tries to catch it and tag at the same time, but does not come down with the baseball.
I think Wieters blocked Hallion. That looked like a strike, but he called it a ball.
Take a look when Jonathan Scope goes to make the tag. Glove gets caught up on the helmet. There's a reason why Scope doesn't come down with it.
Oh, they did call it a strike. So the count now goes full at 3-2. Yeah, it looked like a good pitch.
Yeah, it did.
So 3-2 is the count. And a wicked cut, but he fouled it back. Bautista has now been on base 28 consecutive games dating back to last season.
Oh no.
That was almost a balk. Tom Hallion, I think, gave him a break because Bautista stepped out and Givens just stopped, but time was not called.
I did not see a time. Yeah, wow.
Now see, Hallion is not indicating time. So if he's going to let Bautista just step out, Givens has to just throw it. And then if it's there, it's a strike. A player can't just step out. He's got to request it.
Yeah, a little brain cramp there from Givens. You just got to throw the ball anyway. You know, don't break your rhythm. Go ahead and let it go. So Bautista isn't putting his hand up or anything. He's just requesting it verbally.
Foul back. Now, it could be that Hallion verbalized time, but usually the umpires put up their hands so everybody knows. Left field, it hangs for Reimold, and Nolan has it for the out. So Givens gets out of it, man left stranded at third. Wieters, Hardy, and Alvarez due up. The Birds need a run.
And Rick, when you look at this ball game, Orioles have had some opportunities recently. They need one more opportunity here in the bottom of the ninth.
They do. Marcus Stroman's pitched very well, said to have not been able to give up very many home runs, but the Orioles have too. Matt Wieters and Manny Machado have gone deep and kept the game close. It's 4-3. Toronto has a one-run lead. We got the big guys coming up still.
We call it the do or die, bottom of the ninth here in Baltimore. Let's go back upstairs to Jim Hunter and Mike Borden.
All right, Tom and Rick, thanks very much. They'll have, hopefully, a happy recap coming up. The O's can get a run to tie, or better yet, 2 to win. There's Ezekiel Carrera. He pinch ran for Saunders, stays in the game in left field. And Osuna, who came on to get the final out of the 8th, will face Matt Wieters. His last at bat, Wieters did this.
Yeah, Matt Wieters got on the high pitch. Smoked it up off the post in the flag court. Ended up getting reviewed, but still stayed a 2-run shot to get the Orioles within 1.
Foul back the other way. This is the first head-to-head for Wieters against Osuna, the hard-throwing 21-year-old out of Mexico. Fouled off the other way, up to the club level, quickly 0-2.
Osuna, a lot of experience pitching in the Mexican League as a teenager. Ended up having Tommy John surgery back in May of 2013. Didn't get much minor league time.
And he got him on a changeup, so he got ahead 0-2 and a real good changeup. 1 away.
So dropping 95-mile-an-hour fastball and the 81-mile-an-hour changeup. Nice fade action, split change. Gets Wieters out in front and locating very well.
Here's J.J. Hardy, who's 0 for 3. The lower third of the Orioles lineup tonight, Hardy, Alvarez, and Scope, a combined 0 for 9, although Scope was robbed once by Donaldson. There's a strike, 1-1. Osuna has faced Hardy twice. JJ's 0 for 2 against him. Upstairs. Osuna has allowed only 1 home run on the young season. Outside, ball 3, and that was in his last appearance 2 days ago in Boston. Travis Shaw with a 2-run shot. That made a 5-1 game, 5-3. Toronto did hold on.
Osuna being very careful here to J.J. Hardy, keeping the ball away from him, working that outside corner. J.J. can get the head out there.
Popped it up. Out behind second base, there's Goins. Yeah, the wind is really getting these baseballs tonight. That was out in shallow center and pushed back to the dirt. So 2 down, Orioles down to their final out. And here's Pedro Alvarez, who is 0 for 3 and still looking for his first Oriole home run.
Well, this would be a great time to get it and help Pedro loosen up a little bit, free that swing up.
In the dirt, 1-0. Pedro has 1 base hit in each of the last 4 games, but he is 0 for 3 tonight. Upstairs, ball 2.
One thing that's impressive about Osuna is ability to throw inside. He's not afraid to challenge hitters in. Matter of fact, he's pretty comfortable going into both lefties and righties.
And take it for a strike. Stroman went 7 innings, 3 runs on 6 hits. Cecil allowed a couple of base runners, but Osuna got Trumbo for the final out of the 8th, so no runs. And now Osuna. Low, ball 3, good eye.
Now, one thing about Pedro for sure, he might not be getting the hits he'd like, but he's certainly showing a good eye. Taking his walks.
And since it's 3-1, he can be selective here. Line drive towards the shift, and Goins runs it down, and there's the final out. And the Blue Jays get the opener of this 3-game series. Orioles now 8-4, and they have lost 4 of their last 5 games. This was a good one, well pitched on each side, and the Blue Jays get the 1-run win. Well, we hope you can join us tomorrow. More O's action. Ubaldo Jimenez will take the mound against R.A. Dickey, game 2 of the 3-game series. Our coverage on Masson begins at 6:30 with O's Extra presented by Southwest. And now for Mike Bordick and our entire hardworking crew here at Camden Yards, Jim Hunter saying so long as the Blue Jays win at final score Toronto 4 and the Orioles 3. Tonight's telecast has been a Masson presentation. Tom and Rick, O's Extra, they break it down, coming up right now.